Hello, this is Myra Elaine from the Buying Space channel. Today I'm going to be reading from the Torah, chapter 31, starting in verse 34. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the saddle cushion of the camel and sat upon them, and Laban searched all the tent and found nothing. So Laban, her father, is very upset. He'd had a dream to say no bad things to Jacob, and Jacob had a dream not to say anything bad things to Laban. But Jacob left while Laban was gone to avoid conflict. But also what happened is Rachel took Laban's idols and the images of his deities. So things might have been okay. They were iffy as they were, but Rachel, through lying and stealing, has created a bad situation that it was the spark that lit the kindle. And she said to her father, "Let it not displease any, my lord, but I cannot rise up before thee, for the manner of woman is upon me." And thus he searched, but he found not the images. So she used the excuse she was having women problems. Now Jacob had become wroth and quarreled with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, "What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou art so hotly pursued after me, that thou hast searched all my goods? What hast thou found of all my articles in my household? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge between us both." So Jacob does not know what Rachel, his wife, has done, and he's in a roar of righteous indignation. "These 20 years I have been with thee. My ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. And which was torn of beast I brought unto thee. I had to bear the loss of it, and my hand didst thou require it. Whatever was stolen by day or by night, thus I was in this day, and the heat consumed me, and I frost by night, and my sheep departed from my eyes. These 20 years have I been in thy house, and I have served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy flocks, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac, had I been with thee, surely thou wouldest now have sent me away empty. My affliction and my labor of my hands God hath seen, and decided yesternight." And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks, and all that thou seest is mine. But as to my daughters, what can I do unto them this day, or unto their children whom thy have borne? And now come, let us make a covenant, and I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. So even though they'd had this conflict, and even though the idols were stolen, Jacob and Laban came to an agreement. And they're making a covenant together. And they both just, had it out. They told each other about themselves, and they had it out. And finally Laban said, your family is my family. Your wives are my daughters. Your children are my grandchildren. We are all the same blood. So what should I do? And that's the conclusion he came to. And this is a very important passage as far as I'm concerned about the family. When you get into petty disagreements about whose stuff belongs to who, things should be respected. If one thing belongs to another person, you don't take it or give it to somebody else. That's wrong. But at the end of the day, if you live in the same household, everything really belongs to everybody as it's used. So what does it matter when it came in the door? But, you still have to have love and respect for your family members enough to acknowledge that they earned that, they got that, they obtained that, and it's theirs. And just recognize that there may be sentimental value and how it feels like when something disappears. Those idols were very important to Laban. Even though they were of false gods, they were his. Maybe Rachel felt like they were hers too, because she'd grown in the household with them, and maybe she wanted her children to have them, which was not what God, Yahweh, would have wanted. But that's what she did. And it was very much hypocrisy for her to do such a thing. If you have to steal items that represent your spirituality, you don't have a lot of spirituality. But I understand her point as a mother. She wanted to teach her children what she knew, and those idols were part of that, even though it was misguided. But you can't do that. You can't just take something that belongs to somebody else, and you can't just give it to somebody else. I'm sure she would want to give that maybe to one of her children, but it wasn't hers to give. Now, if Laban had given it to her, or she'd inherited it when Laban passed away, that would be a different story. But she took them, and then she lied. Used the excuse that she was having female problems and she couldn't help search. It's pretty low of Rachel to do, and we have to recognize that Rachel is sinning here. And even though she's the mother of the majority of the people of the Israeli nation and the significant amount of the 12 tribes, she was sinning here. So we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Even Abraham sinned. So we have to look at this and know that God will forgive us. But at the same time, we have to respect other people's property, even in family situations. And you can't take something from someone and give it to someone else. It's stealing. It's absolutely stealing. So these idols belong to Laban, and they should have remained with Laban. So next time we'll see what covenant Jacob and Laban come to, and how they move forward to the future after this rift. Have a wonderful and blessed day, everyone.